Buildings are made up of bricks and all living things are made up of cells. That is, all plants and animals are made up of cells. And the cells are grouped together to form the tissues. And these tissues may have same or different structure and origin, but their function will be always same. These tissues are grouped together to form the organ. And the study about the internal structure is called the anatomy. That is, the study about the cells and tissues is called anatomy. Here we are going to study about the internal structure of plant. That is, plant anatomy. And the father of plant anatomy is Nehemiah Grew, and he is the first to publish internal structure of plants. On the basis of division, the tissues are of two types. They are meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Meristematic tissues means which will continuously divide, and permanent tissues, here the tissues will not divide. That is permanent tissues. And Sartre in 1875 he classified these permanent tissues into three types. They are the dermis or epidermal tissues, vascular tissues and ground tissues. So this is the model of the permanent tissues, and here the outer layer is called the epidermal tissues or epidermis, which give protection to the plant. And at the center it contains the vascular tissues, which consists of xylem and phloem. And in between these vascular tissues and the epidermal layer, it consists of group of cells, and that cells are called as the ground tissues. Now we can see about one by one, and first is the epidermal tissues. And this is the epidermal tissues, and it is the outermost cover of the complete plant body. That is, the stem, root, leaf, everywhere, every part of the plant was covered by these epidermal tissues. Like how the skin is covering and protecting our body, like that this epidermal tissues is protecting the plant body. And it was arranged continuously without any space. And the epidermal tissues which are found in the stem and leaves was also covered by a layer which is called the cuticle. And the cuticle which is present on the leaf contains minute opening, and that opening is called the stomata. And this cuticle was completely absent in root, and the root contains only epidermal tissues. And the outgrowth of epidermis, that is the structures which are found on the epidermis, they are the root hairs and trichomes. So root hairs, so these are the root hairs, and these root hairs helps in the absorption of water and nutrients from the soil. And these trichomes are spine like structure which gives protection to the plants, and also it minimizes the loss of water. And the next tissue is the ground tissues. These ground tissues include all the tissues of the plants except the epidermal tissues and the vascular tissues. So the tissues like parenchyma tissue, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, all these tissues will come under the ground tissues. And the functions of these ground tissues are, it involves in photosynthesis. Photosynthesis means taking in carbon dioxide and giving out oxygen. And then it involves in food storage, then support, then regeneration. So regeneration is growing of new plants. So new plants will arise from these ground tissues, not from the vascular tissues or from the epidermal tissues. And protection. So for protection, these ground tissues and the epidermal tissues involves in protecting the plant. And the next tissue is the vascular tissue. This vascular tissues consists of xylem tissues and phloem tissues. And these xylem tissues and phloem tissues will be in the form of bundles, and it is known as vascular bundles. And the function of the xylem tissues are, it will conduct water and minerals to different parts of the plant. And the function of the phloem tissues is, it will conduct, that it passes the food materials to different parts of the plant. Here we can see the types of vascular bundles. So the vascular tissues are the xylem and phloem. And based on the arrangement of the xylem and phloem, the vascular bundles are of three types. They are the radial, conjoined and concentric. So first one is the radial. Here the xylem and the phloem are arranged alternatively. So here this is the xylem and this is the phloem. So after the xylem, phloem is present, then xylem, phloem. Like that it was arranged in alternative manner. That's why it is known as radial bundle. And the next one is the conjoined bundle. So here the xylem and phloem will lie on same radium. That is the xylem and phloem will be present in same radium. So this is phloem and this is the xylem. As it is lying on the same radium, it is the conjoined. And this conjoined is of two types. They are collateral and bicollateral. So in collateral, the xylem will be lie towards the center and phloem will be lie towards the periphery. So here this is the xylem and this is the phloem. So here the xylem was lying towards the center and phloem is lying towards the periphery. And in bicollateral, the xylem will be present at the center and phloem will be present at both sides of the xylem. So here this is the xylem and phloem was present on both sides of the xylem. That is bicollateral. And the example is cucurbita. And this collateral is again classified into two types based on the presence or absence of cambium. And it will be similar to that of the collateral, but the only difference is the cambium will be present or not. So if the cambium is present, it is known as open. So here this is the xylem and phloem. In between this, the cambium is present, hence it is known as open. And the example is dicot stem. And here this is the phloem and the xylem. And in between there is no cambium, that is known as closed. It will be similar to that of the collateral. And here the last type of the vascular bundle is the concentric bundle. So it is like the xylem is surrounded by the phloem or the phloem is surrounded by the xylem. And it is of two types. They are the amphivasal and amphicribral. So amphivasal, here the xylem surrounds the phloem. That is, the phloem will be present at the center. So this is the phloem and this phloem was surrounded by the xylem. That is amphivasal. And the example is Dracanae. And in amphicribral, here the phloem surrounds the xylem. That is, the xylem will be present at the center and the xylem was surrounded by the phloem. That is amphicribral. And the example is ferns. So this is the types of vascular bundles. And the xylem was classified into two more types. So only the xylem, not the phloem. And the arrangement of the xylem, that is the end arch and the exarch. So this is the peripheral side, and if the metaxylem was arranged towards the peripheral side and the protoxylem was arranged towards the center, that is known as the end arch, and it was seen in stem. And the exarch, here in exarch, the protoxylem was towards the periphery. That is the end. So this is the periphery and the protoxylem was arranged towards the periphery and the metaxylem was arranged towards the center. That is the exarch.